I'm Megan McConnell, Plant Information Director. We're here at our Oregon nursery today, and we are talking about all things hydrangea. So we grow so many amazing hydrangeas available for you to pick from, but here are some of our favorites. So these three are big leaf hydrangeas. They're part of the Seaside Serenade series. This is Newport. This is one of our newer ones, Kitty Hawk. And this is Martha's Vineyard. And then down here I have this really cool, this is actually a panicle hydrangea, but maybe a little different than ones you've seen. This is the Early Evolution, a really great, very compact variety. So basics, if you're looking for hydrangeas for your garden, they do like a little more shade, especially afternoon. Early morning sun and then afternoon shade or dappled shade is great. The more hot of a climate you're in, a little bit more shade. Hydrangeas like pretty consistent moisture. You're gonna wanna water them really deeply when you water them. And the first year, make sure to water consistently, deeply. You can cut back a little bit after that, but you wanna kind of keep an eye on it and check the soil. When about the top inch or two is dry, you're gonna wanna water it. But the best way to check your soil moisture is to just go ahead and put your fingers in it. Your options for planting a hydrangea is going to vary a little bit by climate, but generally for shrubs, I recommend fall. That allows them to spend the winter developing their roots rather than focusing on their leaves. So they're going to be more established by the time you get to your summer heat when you're going to need a little bit more water. You can also do early spring. Some people prefer that in a really cold climate just to avoid any sort of severe freezing damage. If you live in a really mild climate, you can actually plant really all through the winter. If you're someplace that doesn't get frost, anytime really fall to spring, you can plant your hydrangea. Most hydrangeas do best with morning sun and then afternoon shade. You don't want too much shade because you do need some sun to really get those flowers. But your big leaf hydrangeas definitely need protection from hot afternoon sun. Panicle hydrangeas take a little bit more sun, and if you're in a mild climate, they can take really a lot of times full sun and do okay. So this is a great option if you don't have a shady spot in your garden for your hydrangea. So something we get asked a lot, a problem people might have is, why isn't my hydrangea blooming? There's several different things that can lead to that. One is just, and this is true for a lot of plants, most plants need sun to flower. Sun encourages flowering. So if you're in deep shade, that might be why you're not getting as many flowers. But something really important to know about the big leaf hydrangeas is they set their buds for spring in fall before. So if something happens to those buds, you might not get that early flowering. So that would be either pruning at the wrong time and cutting them off, or they can possibly get frost damage. Now, if you have a reblooming hydrangea, which all our Seaside Serenades are reblooming hydrangeas, you're gonna get a second flush from the new wood. So the old wood are those buds that set before, but you are gonna get more later. So if you missed that first bloom, luckily you're gonna get more later, so that's great. Panicle hydrangeas only bloom on new wood, so they start blooming later than your big leaf hydrangeas. So you won't have to worry as much about that freeze damage. They're a little hardier, and you don't have to worry too much about pruning either. You can kind of just cut them back. So a little more maybe user-friendly if you're having trouble with blooms, maybe give a panicle a try. So a lot of big leaf hydrangeas, the color of their blooms can be affected by the acidity of your soil. So if you have a more alkaline soil, you're gonna end up with more pinks. If you have a more acidic soil, you're gonna end up with more blues. Now there are some varieties of hydrangeas that aren't really affected by the pH. Martha's Vineyard is a really good example of this. If you try really hard, you might maybe get this to be a little bit more purple, but really it likes to stay this color. Now, Newport is greatly affected by soil pH. We have some nice acidic soil for this right now, so it's got these really deep blue, dark flowers, but they will be a little more purple if you don't have that acidic soil. The first thing to know before trying to change the color is if it's actually possible. So we always make sure to clarify that in our descriptions of the plant, so make sure you see if it's one you can change. Now you can change the acidity of your soil by adding different amendments. It's great, go to your local garden center to find out a little bit more about that, or we have some information on Monrovia.com about that as well. If you're having trouble, some people's soils are just naturally one or the other. Your soil is really alkaline or it's really acidic, and it's just sort of part of nature. If you really want a certain color and you just are having a really hard time making it happen, a great option is to grow your hydrangeas in containers instead. Then you can have full control of the soil that they're in. So pruning needs for hydrangeas can vary a little bit depending on the variety, but hydrangeas will not naturally drop their flowers. They're gonna kind of just hang out. So once you don't want them on your plant anymore, you're gonna have to deadhead them and cut them off. When you do that, can be kind of up to you. The panicle hydrangeas can really look cool when they're older, so you can keep them longer just for some winter interest. So you're always gonna need at some point to cut off these blooms. But if you cut them too much at the wrong time, you might be cutting off the blooms that it set in the fall. So a couple options are with the Seaside Serenades, you probably don't want to do any major pruning until anytime after July. So you don't want to do these too late. You can deadhead pretty much any time. You just want to make sure you're staying above the leaves. Now, with these Seaside Serenade hydrangeas, you can see their growth habit. They're really compact. So you don't need to do as much pruning to control the size, if any at all. So this is something you can really just deadhead and not worry too much about doing any more major pruning on them. Just want to make sure to get out any dead branches, any dead or damaged branches out of here. Hydrangeas make a great cut flower, so feel free to go ahead and cut these. You're not going to hurt the plant at all. You can cut down a little bit lower. If it still has a flower on there, it probably hasn't set any new buds for next year. So don't worry about hurting your plant in any way. Definitely feel free to bring these beautiful flowers inside. I mean, there's so many. You can take some inside and still have plenty on your shrub. So these are great for that. Hydrangeas start blooming generally in mid to late spring, depending a little bit on your climate and when the warm weather starts for you. All of our Seaside Serenades are reblooming hydrangeas. So you're gonna get that flush, but then you can see we have all sorts of new buds coming out. And also these flowers last for a really long time. So you can keep them on for a month, get fresh flowers, have some that are aging. Some of them turn into really cool colors, sort of an antique-y look when they age. So really, with the Seaside Serenades, you're gonna get continuous flowering from spring all the way through summer. Panicle hydrangeas have a little bit of a different timing. Most of them bloom later. They also break dormancy later, which means their leaves start coming out a little later, so don't panic if they haven't started pushing out their leaves when your macrophyllus have already started. But they tend to bloom a little later, late summer, but then those flowers last through fall. If you like the way they look, you can keep them into winter for some interest. One exception is this early evolution, which lives up to its name. This starts blooming in early spring, even around the same time or maybe earlier than macrophyllus, and then it just keeps going. The flowers get darker, it keeps changing colors all the way through fall. So this one has an incredibly long bloom time. We're talking 3-4 months. It's a really amazing plant. Unfortunately, hydrangeas are not deer resistant, so if you have a lot of grazing in your area, this might be a plant to avoid. The panicle hydrangeas aren't quite favored as much, as well as oak leaf hydrangeas, just because of the texture of the leaves. But you're gonna want this to be in maybe a fenced-in or protected area if you have a lot of deer. If you're new to hydrangeas and you want to start with something that's a little easier to grow, I recommend going with something that's compact and reblooming. They're a little more forgiving. You don't have to worry about pruning them as much because of their compact form. So they're a much easier plant to grow, and don't be intimidated. They're really not as hard as some people think that they are. There's been a lot of breeding done on hydrangeas over the years. So when you think of your classic hydrangeas that maybe your grandma had on her yard, they can get really big, 6 feet tall, really wide. There's much more compact varieties now. So if that's something you're worried about, you need something better for your space, check the mature size of the plant. Most of the Seaside Serenade hydrangeas get only 3 to 4 feet tall and wide. The early evolution stays about 2 feet tall and wide, that's it. Most panicle hydrangeas are bigger than that. This one's known for being very compact. If you want a big impact panicle, there's those as well. So check the label. There's some that get 6, 8 feet tall. But there's really a hydrangea that grows to a size to work for almost any space in your garden. So just keep an eye on the different varieties and what size they get so that you can plan which one's best for you. So in front of me, I have 3 different kinds of hydrangeas, so let's go through them really quick. This is Hydrangea macrophylla, also called big leaf hydrangea. Some people call them mophead hydrangeas, though that technically is this flower form, but there's also lace cap big leaf hydrangeas. I know there's a lot of terms for everything. This is an oak leaf hydrangea, and you can see why. It's really about the foliage, Hydrangea corsifolia. And then this is a panicle hydrangea, or Hydrangea paniculata. So these are all a little different and have some different needs. The macrophyllas, the big leaf hydrangeas, like a little bit more shade and a little bit more water. The panicle hydrangeas can take more sun and don't need quite as much water, so these are good for hot areas. They're also really hardy and they bloom a little later, so you don't have to worry about any sort of frost damage on your buds. And then the oak leaf hydrangea, Hydrangea corsifolia, is native to the southeastern United States. This is a new selection we have called Little Annie. So this is great for that part of the country, the southeast, but thrives in all sorts of different areas. This is a zone 5. So it's got this different foliage that's really interesting. This is also one of the only types of hydrangeas that has a really cool, interesting fall color. So you'll get these reds and burgundies. So this is a great one for that fall interest because you're also gonna have your flowers on the plant still while you're getting those fall colors. So it's really lovely for that. Hydrangeas are stunning plants. They're probably one of the most popular plants in the landscape, and you can see why. They have such beautiful flowers and can be surprisingly easy to care for. So with a little bit of attention, your hydrangeas are going to grace your garden with beautiful blooms every year. You can find out more about hydrangea care at monrovia.com.